Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to our Soul team here with the Capital City Chamber of Commerce. I'm one of your hosts for today's workshop, Christy Souders, here joining you with Mickey Moore. Hey, Mickey, how are you?
Wonderful. Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, it is a happy Tuesday, and it's beginning to feel more like Christmas outside with the weather being a little bit chilly. And so super excited to be able to near towards that. Have you been doing any Christmas preparation at all?
Oh, yeah. I think we had our lights up the day before Thanksgiving. So kudos to my better half, Audrey. That is her thing. I get the boxes out of the garage and I put the boxes away. In between, she's doing all the magic. But yeah, that's about it so far.
Yeah, I think I was listening to Christmas music on Thanksgiving Day, which you're not supposed to do. But I said, it's 2020.
And the other thing too is we visited Christmas by King. I don't know if you know Jim King, but we have a tradition going out there and getting our Christmas tree at his place, and that's fun for the kids to walk around and get all sticky with the sap. It's awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I am very interested in learning about this topic today. This is the first portion of a 2-tier workshop with Mickey Moore. And today we are going to be discussing how to best work in and on your business. So we definitely want to encourage everyone to share their comments, share this post for other business owners and other people out there who now have their side gigs as well too, to be able to learn about this. And so this is the first part of the workshop, which we're focusing on how to best work in and on your business, but there will be a second one as well too.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. And, to be on the team, the Soul team with you and others, I'm honored. So thank you, Katrina and the Chamber, for doing that. And yeah, let's jump right into it. And for a little more, just a little more about more business strategies, our aim is to be a resource for businesses in our region as they transition through their life cycles, be a resource for their teams, their mission, and their business overall. So this is part of it. Looking at our 25 plus years of wins and losses, successes and failures and experiences, these things today will help you walk away with, some tips that are going to really help you in and on your business. And Chrissy, as you mentioned, you'll see there on the 17th is the next workshop, the basics of strategic planning. So tune in next, I believe that's Thursday at 10 o'clock, Facebook Live. So let's jump in. I wanted to share the first screen we'll get to here is really our talking points for the day. Well, we're not going to be here all day, but you get it. That would be interesting. So on the left there, you'll see there's some foundational things I'm going to mention and walk you through. And then on the right, where the check marks, those are the best practice tips that I'll detail for all of you this morning. So there's that one slide where everything, so you kind of know where we're walking into this morning. So foundationally, first off, it's all relative. I want you to go ahead and go to the next slide for me, Chrissy, please. So it's relative to your situation. A little humor there because it's certainly not a one-size-fits-all thing. When it comes to working in and on your business, I want you to understand I can relate, right? We're all different businesses. We're all different individuals. So whether it be budget size, staff size, your capital that you have at your disposal, your life cycle of your business, and the allocation of your resources. These tips today we're going to share. Some of them will work for all of you. One of them will work for some of you, but let's just hope none of them will work for none of you, right? But it is relative to your situation, and I understand that. So I just wanted to put that out there first of all. Secondly, I just wanted to define and maybe give you some examples of in and on your business. We use those words quite often. Do we really grasp where we are in that moment? So I wanted to use the analogy of dirt or clouds. That's really helped me. Am I working in the dirt, getting dirty today? Am I Am I above in the clouds thinking big picture? You hear micro and you hear macro, same kind of thing. But before we get into those tips, I wanted to share here a few things with you, and please read them now. And I'm gonna highlight a couple. But as Christy said, we only got till 5 p.m., so I want to move through. All right. Again, just making sure everybody's paid attention, not 5 p.m. So on the left here, you'll see working in your business. Those day-to-day things that you're doing, whether it be processing the mail and payables and receivables. If you're one person shop, that's you, right? It's stamping the back of the check for deposit only. It's running to the bank. Or maybe you're doing the social media post for your business, right? And then products and services. Are you the one actually delivering these services and the product, making the widget, doing what you do? And then there's a lot of maintenance and management around clients, customers, and donors. And again, a lot of the things we're talking about today, this pertains to for-profit and nonprofit businesses, okay? The nomenclature may be different, but we're all businesses. So these things pertain to there as well. And then lastly, the HR side, doing the evaluation face-to-face with an employee, overseeing the personnel files, and then volunteer and intern management. And we love volunteers and interns. It really helps, but there's some hand holding and there's some expectations. There's a lot of effort there in making sure day to day they're meeting the expectations of that role. So on the other side, you'll see on. So again, this is more macro, and there's some examples here from a standpoint of your financials, right? Getting the audits done, getting your budget annually, putting in the time and energy in that process. Sales, fundraising. How much time are you working on the business, be out of the office, generating, acquiring new business? Recruitment of board and volunteers, and then also recruitment of new members to your team, attending conferences, doing training and education. So here are some examples for you to consider when it comes to working on your business. So I hope that helps kind of as we move forward, when we talk about these tips, kind of understand where one would be in or on. Okay.
And I may be jumping ahead here a little bit, but will you be explaining when to allocate time to each of these things? Because I think as a business owner, that's where I really struggle is when do I allocate my time on in the day-to-day activities versus the other things that are super important, which I can't just teach someone to do.
Correct. And again, this goes to it not being a cookie cutter, right? It'll be different from everybody, but we'll certainly touch on a tip or two that will help you identify and prioritize. Maybe that's a word coming up soon, right? Yep. Good question, Christy. Thank you. So the next foundational I wanted to include, yes, these are myths indeed, based on my experience. So when it comes to a balance of work life, right? We all hear that. Well, I've been on a seesaw before, and I've never seen a seesaw 50-50. Never been a super balance there of work life, and there's been a lot of falls. So I thought I would share this one to debunk that myth. The other one is under multitasking. This is a book that I read a few years ago by John Medina on brain rules, and I wanted to share his specific explanation. I'm going to read it because I don't want to mess it up. But John Medina said through his research, the brain is a sequential processor, unable to pay attention to two things at a time. Businesses and schools praise multitasking, but research clearly shows that it reduces productivity and increases mistakes. Try creating an interruption-free zone during the day and see whether you get more done. So, science, follow the science. He's telling us it's really difficult to multitask. You can't do it. Your brain's not wired that way. So I wanted to debunk those myths, and you'll see why later when we talk about these tips, okay? We make more mistakes and it impacts our productivity. We do.
And I want to share this comment by Barbara Westcott, who is also a business owner as well. Barbara
Mhm.
says, I think that list exemplifies how much work is involved in working in and on your business, especially for the solopreneur.
Correct. Yes, it is the most difficult job. And again, we'll get to some some tips, Barbara, that are actually going to bear that out even more. So I wanted, though, before we now move to the tips, because we laid some foundational things, Chrissy, and I always give just a couple minutes first to allow anyone watching just to throw up a little challenge for them. Hey, this is the challenge I'm finding right now as a business owner, as an executive. This is where I'm at. So if you've got a few minutes now, go ahead and type it in the chat and we can get to it later, if not now. But I wanted to at least always include the slide to say, I know you're sitting there and you're about to hear some tips. Can I relate really to your challenges? Well, you got to give me that chance, right? So put it out there, type in a good question to Chrissy, and we'll go over some of them either right now or later when we do the Q&A. Go ahead.
I'll name one of my challenges.
Okay.
So one of my challenges is I have an employee who would like to be with me full time. However, in order to get someone to be full time with me, obviously there's got to be a little bit more stream of revenue coming in. And what I'm trying to illustrate to her is, hey, if you put a little bit more work in the short term, knowing that you're going to have to do a little bit more when you have another job, then we can get to that point. So how do I motivate someone to see the bigger picture and like, hey, if you want this, then how do I get them there to move them along?
Right. Yeah, that's a great example and good question. And it's a good challenge that you have somebody that actually wants to join your team and do more, right? But yes, it requires resources. So I'm a big fan of clear direction and consistent messaging. Okay. And making or allowing people to be a part of that growth. So I think you're doing something great there and laying it out. Transparency, I think, is super important when you're trying to bring people into the fold. That's the other piece. So clear direction, consistent messaging around where you're at today and where you want to go, and allow them to be in on it, can inspire and motivate people. Risk and reward is huge when it comes to being a business owner. And if you can plan it out, and I'm trying not to get to too many of my slides in this answer because you'll see it, but put that path in front of that potential team member part-time. Here's the time frame. We're going to look at it in 6 months, and then maybe we'll go to full-time, whatever, 90, 180, 3, however many days you want to. That's what I would do. Put it down, put a path, clear direction, let them be a part of it. That should be hopefully motivation enough for them. Good. All right, so let's go ahead and roll into our best practices around working in and on your business. So now, if you know me, you are not surprised that I would have any running reference in my presentation, but this really for me was the most important over the years. And what I would encourage you as a business owner to do is to step outside yourself, step outside your business if you can, and picture this track and identify the lanes of your business. When it comes to me working in and on, it really helped me understand where I was in that moment, where I needed to be, where I didn't need to be. And when you see these other tips, they're all going to relate to a lane in your business. So I'll encourage you to identify those. And of course, these are in most businesses. You've got your human resource lane, you've got a business operations lane, which is, of course, all things around products, services, goods and services, your customer and your donor relations, your financial operations. Well, that's money coming in and out of your business, right? Paying the bills, doing the audits. And if you look at that list that Barbara commented on earlier, again, a lot of those fall under financial operations. I purposely didn't list them in the lanes there because this was coming, but you've got marketing and communications, sales and sales management, fund development, and then you've got governance and legal as another lane. So again, think of those lanes 1 through 7 and where you're at as the CEO, spending your time today or where you should be spending it tomorrow or not. Okay. Keep in mind, as a track, there are varying differences as far as distance goes. There's different pacing in each lane. There's baton that you can pass off to someone else in the lane while you're running. And of course, sometimes you veer off into other lanes. They're not silos. They impact each other. So I can go on and on with some more analogies around the track and running. But the main one is identify those lanes and be comfortable and conversationally competent about each one. That makes sense to you, Chrissy?
Yeah, we actually have a couple people commenting in regards to the challenges they're facing. So I think I want to go ahead and get those to you right now. So we've got Carlette Smith, who is joining us this morning.
Hey,
she says, "Good morning. My name is Carlette with Brian D. Smith Cleaning Service. My challenge is hiring personnel to do human resources, marketing, office help without the resources to pay them. What resources do I use?"
Right, that's a good question. Again, having your annual budget. So first of all, having that pro forma, if you will, and the plan of, okay, how much does it cost? You got to know those numbers, and then put some dates to it. Now, I'm a big fan, and I'm jumping a little bit ahead on one of the tips that we talk about later under strategic partnerships. But outsourcing, can be less expensive than actually bringing people in-house. When you think about the cost of training folks, benefits and taxes and, other fixtures that come along with, providing a desk and equipment for those people, you can outsource too. But ultimately, it still costs something, right? And to Chrissy's point earlier, in order to bring more people on or to expand your business, there still has to be a focus on revenue. Okay. So Carlette, I would encourage you, when you look at your budget, you got your top lines or your revenue and your bottom lines, your expenses, and do that short-term or long-term planning, whether it's an action plan or a strategic plan, to know where and when you can make that jump. But ultimately, it's a risk, right? And it's on you and your team to generate more revenue in that regard. So, and again, I'd be happy to talk to you offline about it for more detail. Good question, though.
And then we also have another challenge from Barbara Westcott. She says, challenge, knowing how to prioritize. I can relate. Also referring back to having employees or interns is how to make it be a net positive based on the time it takes. It is quicker to just do it myself. And I know I've actually had this conversation with Barbara a couple of times. Yeah. What is your response to that? Getting help or doing it yourself and then just adding on to the workload?
Yeah. So, and one of my tips coming up, we're going to talk about prioritization. So pause there, Barbara. I'm going to get to it. Chrissy, remind me to talk about that, because I agree. A lot of it is on us being able to let go, right? I get it. I get it. But we can't be the only problem solver or innovator in our office. At some point, we got to let it go, So good point. All right, let's get back to where were we? We finished the lanes. Okay, lanes of the business, and now we're moving to role clarification and resource capacity. Sounds exciting about that capacity piece, but the most important, I'm big on expectations, and I would suggest, whether you're working in your business or on your business, it's going to help clarify where you are or should be when you look over your job descriptions periodically, because things change in your business. And you may have people doing things that they shouldn't be doing, or you may be doing something different next month. So it's a good thing to provide clear direction, clear expectations for you and your team. So that's heavy on HR, okay? But it's super important. I've seen where you go in some places and people are doing jobs that are not aligned to their job description at all. And it may be okay, but from an official thing, we need to straighten that out because I may think you're doing something totally different. So those are the first two. And then the third, to utilize volunteers, interns, board members, and contractors. When you're a small shop, again, Barbara mentioned, and we'll get to interns and how much time and energy it takes. Yes, it certainly does, but it's a tip for those that don't have a lot of capital to bring in new employees. Engage board members and volunteers to help you in your business. And then lastly over there, it's okay to say no. Because of resource capacity, kind of what you were talking about earlier, Chrissy, it's wonderful that somebody wants to be full-time, but at this time, it's a no, right? And you say it nicely, right? We don't go around just telling people no. We explain, we do transparent, and we explain why. But when it comes to the amount of work that you can do as a solopreneur, in Barbara's instance, you have to be comfortable passing on certain opportunities and requests. If you can't do it, you just can't do it. And that goes to that work-life balance. I really call it a work-life integration. Jeffrey Bezos, whether you're a fan of his or not, but that's when I first read it, was from him. He said, look, work-life integration. It's where, how do we get it all to work together? Because there are ever-changing percentages of time. There's never a clear balance of work life. So you got to be able to say no with your resource capacity. Know what your limits are and move away. Okay. All right, let's go to best practice number 3. So timelines, timeframes, and deadlines. Chrissy, this one is important, like I was telling you earlier, and to Carlette and others. X to Y by Z. I first heard this a few years back from, a strategic planner who had worked with Ritz-Carlton and others. And man, how important it is to put down a time for this is what we want to do by this time. We want to go from here to here by here. Do we always meet those timelines, timeframes, and deadlines? No, we don't. But enough of us are familiar in business with procrastination or crisis management or the urgent taking over for the important. So I would encourage all of you, when you're sitting out and looking at working in your business and on your business, give yourself some timelines, some timeframes, and deadlines to work within them. Shared knowledge and shared awareness, to me, is more team success. So if we're all in the room and we're all moving the same way and we all know those timeframes and those timelines and deadlines, we can help one another accomplish them. And to me, that leads to more team success and less silos. Boundaries, give yourself space for mistake making, risk taking, and relationship sustaining. As a business owner, you have to make space for these things. If you're always in the dirt, you may miss on a risk that was worth taking. Okay. And then most importantly to me on this slide is time of year. So everybody talks about knowing your numbers as a business. You got to know your calendar from a big picture. Chrissy, you asked earlier, how do I know? And I think this was before we had gotten on, how do I know when I should be in and on my business, right? Is there a magic thing that tells me? And the secret for me is always knowing big picture, what my calendar is for the business and for me personally, and share the information across the team. There are some big ticket items you have to prepare for and working on your business. And there's a couple of examples. Your board and staff retreats or company retreat, the annual audit, the seasonality of your revenue should be something that you're aware of. A special event should be something that you're aware of. That's the first start. Every year, January to December, where are my big time frames? What I need to be ready for? If it's the annual appeal and I'm working in the business on that appeal, it's got to be on my calendar with a tickler where I get a 30, 45 day jump on it, right? That has really helped me. Yes, I'm a planner. I'm guilty of it. I think this may be too much to share, but the first time I went to a zoo with my wife, I had the map and I was like, okay, where do we want to go? Let's go here. And she looked and she said, can we just walk around and see the animals? Yes. So look, I'm a fan of planning. It's really important, timelines, timeframes, and deadlines to help you work in and on your business. Put it on paper. Know your calendar. Okay. Okay. Best practice number 4. So prioritization and delegation. We had a comment earlier on prioritization and delegation. Oh man, it's a really hard thing to do when you don't have people around you to delegate. Okay, I get that. Remember, I told you it's relative. Okay, if you're the only person in the room, who do you delegate to? You know, family and friends, volunteers, etc. So let's see. Follow the plan, structure and process. Trust it. And a lot of times, working in and on your business, you have to make difficult decisions, and to avoid any kind of personal stress, follow the plan that you have in place. Action plan, strategic plan. Let that plan help you prioritize and bring others in to do the work with you. You know, strategic plans, for what they're worth, which I think they're highly valuable. It's not just something for the employees to do. You know, you have board members that can help you do it. You can engage volunteers in the community to help you execute that plan. Adapt and be flexible. Of course, as business owners, we know that we can't control everything. We have to be adaptable and flexible, being in the business today, being on the business tomorrow. Crisis management is going to happen, but when we have to pivot, there's the word, right? When we have to pivot in 2020 because of COVID, we still better be able to pivot back to doing some things that require our focus. So the third one was one I really enjoyed listening to Ollie Allerton when he talked about prioritization and delegation to a bit, but breathe, recalibrate, and deliver. And basically, when things go awry, you know, first thing he encouraged us to do is breathe, because our emotions sometimes can cause us a problem, right? Sorry. Breathe and not let the emotion take you in a direction that you don't need to go. So pause and breathe, then recalibrate, which basically is just reassess, look at the situation, find out what the next best move would be, and then deliver, and then take a step. Breathing and recalibrating by itself is not going to do anything because the action still needs to happen. And then sandbox. So now let's get into how we let it all go. If you look at these next slides, escape from you, empower those around you, make a decision, and let go where and when necessary. Sandbox, let others play in it. Okay, as the CEO, I get it. There's nobody smarter in the room than me. Okay, no. I'm thankful to Joseph Landers years ago, who told me, he said, Mickey, I think you've got a good career ahead of you, but you need to let others play in the sandbox. You can't do it all, be it all. You'll drive people away. You'll never get people to jump on board. So it's hard to come to that realization sometimes, but we have to do it. As I said there on number 6, empower others around you. Don't be the only problem solver or innovator. Over the years, when employees would come to me with good questions or issues or challenges, I would turn it back on them and say, what would you do? What would you do? And then coach and counsel from that point. And then over time, they didn't come to me with some of those issues. They made wise decisions. What would Mickey do? Or they did it on their own, right? So it takes time, Barbara, and you know that. You're great at what you do. It's just, you're right. Can I do it myself? Because I know it. Nobody can do it better than me. You could, but let's develop our team, and the value is there. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to share a couple comments. Brian Green says, this is great information. Thank you, Mickey, for sharing. John Brown, hey, John. Mickey is masterful at guiding topics like these, and congratulations on the recent ultra marathon. And I also want to bring in Katrina Tuggerson, who is joining us now with the Capital City Chamber of Commerce. Hey, Katrina. Your mic is
I
muted.
can't hear you.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Technology.
I've been listening on and learning and listening to what the community is asking you as far as some of those questions and the procrastination and doing all of that. And so I've been enjoying the conversation. One of the things about what Miss Smith and Barbara and all of us are talking about is just being a small business, not always having the dollars to get those people to work for you, not necessarily hiring them. Hiring them is more expensive. So one of the things that I do, I contract people out project by project, and I look around and it's done. So project by project, I contract people out. Even though I have an end goal in vision, but I break it down to project by project or week by week, and I look around and it's done. So that's one of the things that I do as a small business. And that's also one of the techniques that I use with the Capital City Chamber. Because when we came back together, it was like, okay, how in the world am I going to be an inclusive voice for the community and for the minority community? I didn't just take off a little bite. That's huge. And in order to help people, you know what I'm saying? So what I did was partner with people like yourself, set up the Soul program. Me and Chrissy became at HIP over a year ago. We about to have an anniversary. We need to have a party online. But I partnered with Barbara, and she's asking like she don't know how to get it done, but she does. Then I partnered with Women Wednesdays, Barbara, and then I look around. So my partnership started expanding.
Right.
And the partnerships that the women created in Women Wednesdays, we didn't all have money at the time, but what we had was talent. So we took our talent without in mind that I'm going to get paid at the top, but look at us now. So that this is where I totally agree with what you're saying and the proper protocol. And I just threw a monkey wrench in because I don't do nothing in order. I need to, but I'm gonna be quiet right now. I'm just enjoying.
No, it's funny that you bring that up because actually best practice number 5, Mickey.
Yeah. Hey, look at that. Somebody, were you peeking at my presentation, Katrina? Come on. Yeah.
When you live it every day, you peek at your presentation.
That's right. Now, when I get to discipline and execution, I'm gonna really hark on something about revenue. So Chrissy, remind me if I don't do it. But let's start here with number 5 on strategic partnerships. You're exactly right. Katrina, this is what it takes. It takes partnerships, and a lot of time it's bartering in your business. So to Carlette, trying to grow her business and bring other people in, see if you can barter with folks. Get them to do something for you, and you do something for them until there's a revenue there to pay for those services. But outsourcing for experience, expertise, and efficiency is a great way to move your business through a life cycle. And then, of course, centers of influence. There are folks that have been on my speed dial for a long time, right? So as a business owner, you should have a speed dial with folks on it that can really influence others in doing more business with you or helping you make connections and to get people to participate. It's an attorney, it's a realtor, it's a CPA, you can go down the line as an insurance agent. There's folks who you should be talking to on a regular basis about where your business is and where it needs to go. They'll help you. You just can't be too shy about asking for help. Up top, the first bullet there, power of association. I borrowed that from a friend of mine, Don Yeager, who has written a lot about greatness. And that was one thing that bubbled up in his experiences talking to the people for 20 plus years, is how powerful association is. Those that you rub elbows with, surround yourself with people that think like you, act like you, and want to help you get to a new place. Okay. And then lastly, I listed a few of our partners. Obviously there's chambers, there's this chamber, there's other chambers, there's INI and UPHS and NEBA and AFP and Women Wednesdays. And there are folks out there that you can partner with to help you work more in and on your business. Again, think about the lanes. I got to bring that up a little more often this morning from each practice. Vision yourself in which lane that you were talking about. How can these partners help you in this lane, this lane, this lane, or this lane? But yes, Barbara, as a business owner, you are responsible for all lanes at the end of the day. The buck stops with you on all 7 lanes. But here are some ways that you can get some help. Okay, good stuff. Let's go to best practice number 6, discipline and execution. So, because I just now remembered around revenue, Katrina, I'm gonna tell you frankly, and you know this about me, it requires revenue activities. Okay, every small business, from cleaning service to CPAs to attorneys, whatever it is, especially in that early life cycle, you have got to schedule some activities around proactive and consistent revenue generation.
But let me say this, Mickey, and I'm allow you to go on because I'm enjoying it.
Sure.
This is the part we don't like.
I know.
So as a business, let's just be real. This is the part that no business like. So if we can get our mind, we're going to listen at Mickey, what he's getting ready to say. But if we can get our mind around not liking something and just get it done. And I fight myself every single day. Okay, I really don't like this, but it's for the good of everybody. Right. And so that's a mind frame that I wake up with every day. After I do my prayers, devotion, and talk to Jesus a couple of minutes, and we get it together. But go ahead, Mickey.
Yeah. So again, working in and on your business, as I said, that sales lane, that development lane, that fundraising lane from a working on your business, you have to schedule it. I know I'd rather check email one more time or answer that phone, or maybe, oh, let me go say hi to a friend, instead of asking someone to meet with me and talk about being a resource for their business, right? And it's because we don't want to hear the word no. And not to mention maybe where our skill set is. I understand. So that's why you have a structure and process. And I can't give it all away here because we ain't got that much time. But I encourage you, use list, work from your list, but put it on a calendar. So for example, I loved Friday mornings from like 10 o'clock to about 11:30. You know, typically in my mind, people are a little more relaxed on Fridays. You know, they're dressed casual in the office potentially. You know, maybe they close early, so I don't call late. But mid-morning, I would do a lot of my proactive calling to get appointments with businesses. Whatever works for you. But the point, it was on my calendar. I knew Friday at 10 to 11:30, I'm picking up my list and I'm calling my current customers, current donors. I'm calling a couple of prospects to get appointments. Proactively schedule those things or it won't happen. It's the same thing with goals. We all hear about that, right? Goals, you don't write them down, or what? Dreams, right? Isn't that what they say? So you've got to push yourselves past that short period of discomfort for long-term gain. You can do it. You are the best salesperson the business has right now. You're the CEO. Nobody knows it better than you. If you just need a little tweaking around case for support or value proposition, we can do that. There's help out there for you, but you got to schedule it or it just won't happen. So more proactive, less reactive, run life more than life runs you. It happens. These things are maybe, I'm not a believer that it's easier said than done. I know it can be done. Okay, it can be done, but use these tips, consistent effort, see what others don't see. But the main thing here is scheduling your activities. Get it on a piece of paper, get it on a calendar, commit to it. Obviously, you need to pivot and be adaptable and flexible. Revenue generation, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. Was that okay to say, Katrina? Was that a little too much, like right there?
No, I mean, you saying it the nice way, you know, just get it done and all of that stuff. But when you are a small business, and like even a year like COVID-19, and this is why I got so involved with the Leon Cares and with creating Soul, because you get so discouraged.
Yeah.
And it's different when you looking at us online and it's like, oh, we got it all together. But me and Chrissy be going at it behind the scenes. Me and Barbara go at it behind the scenes. It took me and Mickey a month to get this scheduled. It takes time. I'm one of the ones that don't hide all of, I don't come out all fluff like perfect. Because anything that comes out to be of excellence, you're going to have to work at it. And chip away at the block. And so this is what I love about doing these, because I'm like, nah, that ain't how we feel, Mickey. Let me tell you how we feel. We're tired.
Yeah.
You're tired. When it is your own business, you know you have the potential, you know you're tired, you down, you can't hire anyone, just like Chrissy was like, yeah, but I'm getting to work and I need to hire someone. You know, you just started making $20 yourself. You need to keep it so you can buy you something at Publix. It's just so overwhelming. But I tell you, I guarantee you, all three of us on this on this call today, if you just keep chipping at it, if we can encourage you just to keep chipping at it, it will happen. And another key component to it, and this is all personal, have a great attitude doing it. When you have a great attitude doing it, people do not mind partnering with you or working with you. If your attitude is great and energy, and people don't mind. If you come as a crab, like you're all it, like outsourcing it, like I'm the genius, and I heard you mention that before, like I'm the genius, nobody's going to want to work with you. They're going to let you be the genius alone, and you're going to fail. So anyway, I'm a hush. This is Mickey's show.
No, that's all good stuff. And look, as business owners, whether it be, again, for-profit or nonprofit, you know, we have super good intentions. We want to do the best. We want to be there for everybody. But you got to have some you time, and you've got to have a limit to your, again, resource capacity, and recognize that it is okay to say no. Right. And I loved your attitude piece. And again, sharing this is personal, you said, but you know, my little boys in their bathroom, there's 3 sticky notes with the words effort, attitude, and gratitude on their mirror. They see it every day, because that's what I want them to understand is give it your best. Good effort. You got to put in some effort, but have a good attitude, and then express some gratitude. And I think that works for anything and everybody across life and work. So I'm a big fan of that. But care about you. And you can see here on this best practice, you time, you know, whatever that is. Read a book, take a walk. You know, wellness is a super important thing. I mean, your productivity, it's been proven through science, you know, nutrition and exercise does a lot for you mentally and physically. But your mental state now is so important with COVID and everything that everybody's going through. So find some you time that'll help you.
I don't think I have a problem with that.
You don't think you have a problem with it, Katrina, but I do want to ask you, do you put the you time on the list?
It's kind of hard because I'm kind of stretched between a couple of communities that I work with. So finding the you time lately, with the COVID-19 and losing a lot of my loved ones to sickness, and it's making you value family time more, and it makes you put the you time into you. It makes you regroup. I tell everybody, anytime I go into a meeting, I tell everybody, if my phone rings, I'm going to answer if it's my children or if it's my mom. I was in a meeting when my dad passed, and I said I'll never do that again. So I make sure I put the you time in at all times, even if it's not with family, it's just with me. Even if I go to the salon, and now I've started going to the spa. I'm not going to tell you where, but I patronized one of the small businesses up here and started going to the spa, and I was like, oh my God. But anyway, I do make myself put in the you time, but it does seem like I work all the time, which I do, but I make it work.
Well, you know,
Mickey, do you recommend putting it on the list?
I mean, look, you schedule. Again, if it's not on the schedule, it rarely happens. You'll continue saying, "Oh, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go do that," but something else happens, right?
So let me put this out publicly. Do not call me the week of Christmas. That is my you time. Nobody calls me that week. I'm not going to be in this office. I'm not answering no texts, no phone calls or anything. I'm going to be with my family. So don't call. Well, that's my you time for December.
And, you've heard this too, probably before. What you permit, you promote, right? So if you're putting out there that it's all right for people to call you at 8 p.m. or text you at 8 p.m. or expect that you reply every Sunday at 10 when they send you an email, then you're promoting that that's okay, right? So permit what you permit, you promote. So think about your actions individually, and you're in the most control of that. Don't be afraid to say no. Yeah.
I do want to share a comment here and a question. Yeah. First comment is from...
Why is she watching me?
Because of me. Because I'm on the show today. Come on. Me and Lily, we're close.
She says, I'm so proud of her. She has a strong passion for community and church. She loves helping people and families. She is empowered and equipped to help develop your vision and personal goals.
My mom is out of town, probably sitting in her recliner, scrolling Facebook because we taught her how to scroll it. And that's probably what she's doing.
Okay, so comment and question from Brian Green. Would you speak to the fact that administrative items often take significant time, attention, and mental space? How can the business owner keep focus on the product or service she or he is trying to launch? Is that something that can be
definitely.
outsourced?
And thanks, Byron. Good to see you, friend. I'll give you my example. So here I'm a business owner. I don't have any employees, right? So where, at the end of the day, where can I get the highest and best return for my effort, right? And who I am and what I do. So that's my first question. Is it doing the books, paying the bills, or is it business development and doing the work with the clients, right? So outsourcing, yes, especially for the administrative items. I knew right along. I called my friend John Harvard. I've known him for years. Hey, John, I've got my business. This is not what I want to do. Reconciliations and all of these things. How can you help me? And a lot of these firms now today, they've built their businesses around consulting or contracting or outsourcing, and it can be minimal cost compared to what you might think. So I would encourage you, those administrative things, to consider outsourcing. Also, human resources. There are companies now that you can use an online resource for maybe $100 a month that will guide you in developing handbooks and help you with your employees. Or there are some local here that you can use to create everything you need from an HR perspective. So they do require a lot of time, Byron, especially when you're a small shop, but consider outsourcing because what should you be doing the most in your seat, Byron? Is it being with that FaceTime and developing the revenue, or is it the back office responsibilities? Good question. Okay, so best practice 6, I think we wrapped that one up. So let's move along. And I think that was probably the last one. So we kind of moved right into the questions, which I'm totally fine with. But, just to wrap it up, best practices in working in and on your business. It's all relative. Just remember, take these and fit them into where you're at. Think about the lanes. Most importantly, focus on what lanes you should be in or can change being in or can share and allow others to be in across your business, and working in the dirt and working in the clouds. At the end of the day, you have to do both. I tell executive directors and CEOs all the time, it's the most difficult job, especially solopreneurs and executive directors, the most difficult job I've ever had. Because at the end of the day, the buck stops with you, and you've got to be cognizant of every lane and how fast or slow each lane's moving with you and your team. It's really a difficult challenge, but that's why we share these best practices to help you get there. There are partners to help. All right, questions? Any other questions or comments?
Nikki,
So
what would
one
you say?
question I have is, where do you start?
Where do you start?
Do you start with the list, or do you start with the in or the on, or where do you start in making these changes?
Okay, thank you. Sorry. First thing I would write down the lanes so you know what those lanes are, right? And then the examples that I shared of in and on, right? Kind of do a measure for yourself. Where are you now? Where are you spending majority of your time? In which lane? And then are you spending majority of time in or on in each lane? Okay, let's build that out. From there, then you start looking at, I would look at your resources. Do I have people that help me in these lanes, or where can I find help in these lanes? And then you start adjusting where your time frames are. And then your calendar. Yeah, let's have that 12-month calendar. The items that I mentioned for your business, what are the deadlines for filing your tax returns, right? It's April, typically August, right? Or September, October. They changed them this year so many times because of COVID. But yeah, then let's work on that calendar a little bit for the big picture items, and then start putting other lane items on there as well. But that's where I would start. Good question. Sorry, Katrina, what were you going to say?
No, it was something very similar to what Chrissy said. And another thing, if you were to leave a point going into leaving 2020, which everybody's so happy to leave out of, everybody's excited. We're just done. Going into 2021, what would you do in mindset? Because I can tell you what I've started doing. I've already started planning. The first 3 months of the year is the first quarter. You should knock it out the ballpark. If you don't have your 3 month schedule out already as a business, it's going to be hard. And so that's one of the things I do. I take my year quarter by quarter, and I'm able to plan it out from there. So I was wondering, what would you suggest going into 2021 after this hard COVID-19 year? What would be one of your points that you would like for us to take with us home today?
Sure. So again, consistency and execution requires planning and preparation. Okay. So to your point, as you said recently, I've been reaching out more business development to potential clients about planning for 2021. It's a wheel. That business is a wheel. And sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast. At some point, we've got to get in front of these things to be more prepared for the next year, the next quarter. So I'm a planning fan. When you first said planning, I was like, well, there you go, right? Because you can share that plan. You can get people to invest in that plan. You can get employees to invest in that plan. So whatever it is, quarterly an action plan or a strategic plan for a year or 2 or 3 years, that's got to be a continuous business activity in the clouds. Remember, that's a cloud that's working on your business, having a plan, seeing where you want to go, and then working in your business enough to get there. I'll say that one more time. Clouds enough, see where you want to go, in the business enough in the dirt to make it happen. It requires both. Okay. So planning is the key. Planning is the key.
And I totally agree. But a small bit, I'm gonna keep saying this. This is what we do. We have it up here in our head, but we can't write it down on paper. Until you can execute it, put it down on paper and get it done and do that checklist of stuff, that's when you really see results. So I just, I'm gonna keep saying that because everybody's like, yeah, but I have it all here in my head.
Right.
Once you get it out of your head and put it on paper, if you can implement it and put it on paper where others can understand what you're doing and your delivery mode, then that's when your thought, your business, everything will come into fruition. Chris,
let me add something to that. It is hard because, again, I've been there. As a business owner, sometimes it's hard. Like on the nonprofit side, you hear about mission creep, right? Where nonprofits, they want to do so well. And next thing you know, they're doing something a little beyond their original mission because it's the shiny thing and it's a new thing and it really needs to happen. And there's a need in our community, and I get it. But how does that fit in the plan?
Mm-hmm.
How does that fit in with your resources? Managed growth is necessary. And then to your point, until it's written down, right? If you think you can't, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right. You got to write it down. You got to hold yourself accountable. Use the calendar. I'm going to generate new revenue and new clients next week at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. Awesome. And then do it. Go ahead, Chrissy.
Well, I just wanted to say this is a great roadmap for everyone watching. Please sink your teeth into this. This will be a video, so you can rewind, you can fast forward, you can make sure you have your calendar in front of you and say, I need to be in this lane this day and this lane in that day. And so making more with more business strategies. There's your contact information. If you want to go ahead and just let people know how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. Mickey at moretobusiness.com. And of course, the website is moretobusiness.com as well. Thank you for the opportunity and owners and, potentially be a resource for them. That's what I'm here for. Again, thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Chrissy, for letting me be on the team, on the SOL team, and looking forward to next Thursday, the basics of strategic planning. Speaking of planning. So, yeah.
And I just want to say one of the ways that you can reach out to Mickey as well is go to the Capital City Chamber site webpage. When you click on that consulting tab and you fill out that information, there is also a tool for the chamber to connect with you and help you. And then we will streamline you over to Mr. Moore so that he's able to meet with you. That first consultation will be free on no expense to you from the Capital City Chamber of Commerce. So that's best to utilize that consulting tool. I would like to say thank you to Chrissy. We are ending this year strong. We have things that are coming up. We have Mr. Moore will be back with us on the 17th. We have a lot of ribbon cuttings that's ending in this year. And I think that's phenomenal at this time of year that some of our small businesses have stayed afloat. And that's what we're specializing in. And again, I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us. And you guys have a wonderful Tuesday.
Thank you. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.